to the Inside Scoop EmeraldPlanet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome again to the EmeraldPlanet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States, looking around the globe in 143 different nations, looking for the people, the processes, the technologies, and the products that are making a difference in the 21st century. A 21st century that's facing many challenges as far as the climate is concerned, food security, healthcare, education, infrastructure development, all these things as we go beyond 7 billion souls on this planet. Many people are saying, hey, we need to cut back. We cannot really keep up with the pace, the resources that we have to bring about a ever-increasing quality of life. But the experts that we have on the EmeraldPlanet are here to attest that actually we're making a better world, and also we're using the natural resources, the renewables, as we're going to be talking about with compost and many other the products that are kind of the throwaways, if you will, of society. We have Walker Lunn, who is the managing, what's your title again?
The managing member of EnviRelation.
I knew that, but I wanted you to say that, managing member, because I love that title.
Thank you.
Okay, EnviRelation is the name of his organization. But tell us about this title. It's not something that you really hear about, and educate our public.
Well, it's really common for people to incorporate using a limited liability corporation form today. And your old titles like chief executive and things like that go with other corporate forms. For a limited liability company, a managing member is the legal title for someone who owns and manages a limited liability corporation.
I think it's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us. Looking at what you're doing, tell us about your name and how you came up with this. It's a very unique name.
Okay, the name of the company, as you know, is EnviRelation. It's a fusion of the words environment and relationship. And the sort of impetus, the motivation behind it is to communicate that we're trying to help our clients manage their environmental relationship and think about how they relate with the planet.
Well, you know, this whole thing about relating to the planet, helping your clients to manage everything that you're doing, we just want you to share with us, why is it so important that you have this relationship between the environment and the communications that goes along with that?
Well, we all have a relationship with our environment. It doesn't matter whether you're focused on it or not. You relate with it in one way or another. So one of the things that I want to bring to the forefront in what we do is that notion of how you do business and how you live your life every day is a piece of how you relate to the environment and how you think about your relationship with the world. In terms of communicating that, you know, we want people to understand it, so we try and communicate in a way that relates to them, they resonate with it, and they understand it, and they start to take action to manage that relationship in a way that they want. And just like if you and I have a relationship and I just take and take and take, I'm not going to be your friend for very long.
Well, this goes back to this cooperative economics, so really is coming back to the fore. We're just talking about co-ops.
Okay.
And that's a very old form of business. It's been around for a long time. And now that's coming back. Of course, this whole thing of cooperative economics, this communications, this nurturing, sharing with each other. And we want to come up with this first slide that we have here and look at something that you're actually producing. Looks like we've got a little problem here on our screen. Let's get rid of that. Tell us what we're looking at here and how this relates to this whole notion of relationship and environment.
Great. Well, this is obviously a handful of dirt. We make compost.
We're going to soil, right? Let's get away from the dirt business. Okay.
So this is compost, which is sort of in between a mulch and a fertilizer in terms of its use and application. It's a soil amendment. It's an environmentally friendly organic soil amendment. This particular handful of compost has a really high content of food waste in it because we're collecting food waste from restaurants and hotels and grocery stores and institutional generators of food waste and composting it to create this product.
Now, looking at this cycle here, we're going to leave this slide up a little bit and just kind of walk us through this cycle, how this relates to your company. But we had Will Allen. I don't know if you know Will.
I'm familiar
from
with Will
in Milwaukee. He's kind of the guru of soil remediation around the globe. And he was on with us recently, and his whole notion is that you start with dirt, and then what you're doing is you're creating soil. And most urban areas where most people live today, 54%, are trying to remediate, so you're bringing value back into the soil.
Yeah.
So looking at this actually is something you shared with us. Walk us through this and how are we augmenting the soil, and why is that important as we move through the 21st century?
Okay, sure. So we like this graphic a lot because it really simply breaks down what composting is for a broad array of audiences. If you start at the top with the tree where we have this apple coming from this tree, in the next picture you've got an eaten apple core. And in our line of business, this is really the focal point. We've got eaten apple cores, we compost meat and bones and protein. We also compost a lot of non-food products like paper. So we take that and we say, okay, this is the next part of the cycle where we as people consume the thing that the earth has produced.
Sure.
Moving along, now we have the composting process. It's a process that takes in water, it takes in air, it uses worms and bacteria and things and microbes to create a compost. And this compost then goes back into the soil and redelivers all of these nutrients into the soil, which then go back into the tree and into the plant and into the cycle, if you will.
It's a very simple process, but this is something that's very, very important. And we're talking about the worms, and people kind of snicker, worms, yeah sure. But actually, they're critically important. It's just like the pollinators are going, plant to plant, flower to flower, and that's what, has the bounty of the earth. You really have to have all these microbes and the worms working in the soil to aerate, to allow water to pass through, but also to digest a lot of this compost that you're actually creating through your organization. So let's look at what some of this actually looks like. Tell us a little bit about this and how your industrial users relate to you now in this relationship that we've been talking about.
All right, well, this picture is a picture of the containers into which our clients will put their food scraps. So we'll work with any generator of food waste, restaurants, hotels, grocery stores.
We also
schools,
said hospitals.
Office buildings, hospitals, assisted living, anyone that has a kitchen and they're generating food. What we do is we have a pretty modular system, so a business or a participant of any size can participate. We'll give them these containers, and they're 35-gallon containers, and they'll fill it up with food, and then we come by every other day or every day to pick it up. We try and pick it up before it has any time to start to stink or decay and attract odors and pests and things like that. So these containers, it's exactly what you're looking at. These ones are in particular aligned with biodegradable bags. They're made from a cornstarch or a potato starch type product. And in this picture you can see we're filling these containers with pineapples.
Well, looking at this, many people will say, hey, there's a lot of this food, it's really good. It could go out to the homeless shelters, and friends of mine actually run these, and they go out and they collect all the foods from the grocery chains and the university campuses and all that. So what's the differentiation between the food that's prepared and then can go into these homeless shelters or some of these long-term healthcare facilities, and the type of food that you're bringing in or the organics that you're bringing in that goes into the compost for recycling?
Great, that's an excellent question and a really, really important distinction. The material that we pick up is inedible portions. It may be what you're seeing here where you have pineapple rinds. We don't eat pineapple rinds. It may be scrapings from someone's plate. That's not something that a homeless shelter or a food bank can accept. In some cases, we get calls for special pickups where a restaurant's entire cooler system shut down and everything was above the safe holding temperature.
So you're not really competing with the homeless shelters or the other organizations that are really looking for this food. This is really a diversion, and it's making sure that these resources been produced by the earth coming through the manufacturing process then are used in the very best way.
That's right.
Looking at this slide here now, you got some very dynamic person here and a whole lot of heavy equipment in the background. Tell us a little bit about this.
Great. We use some custom-built equipment to address the kind of unique attributes of food. When you take food out of the mixed waste stream, what you discover is that it's super heavy, it's super wet, and it's super stinky and sticky too. So what we've done is we've designed some equipment that lets us address the weight and the moisture content in a way that traditional waste management equipment does not. So basically what you're looking at is a watertight collection vehicle with a lifting device that's engineered to lift the containers that you saw on the previous slide from either the ground level or from a loading dock.
So no matter what the gender, size, weight, heft, you can take care of it.
That's correct.
Is that what this is showing here?
That's the idea.
This is a great slide. I love this. And this is actually what we're looking at and the kind of thing that you take in. But this looks like a real mix of everything. So how do you take the paper products and all that, put it in with the food waste, and make sure that you can actually produce compost that's going to be useful for the soil?
Great. Anything that's organic is something that we can compost. So if it grows, it goes. Meat, bones, dairy, fish, paper, wax paper, wax cardboard, soiled paper, soiled cardboard. And so what you see in this picture is a lot of that type of material. What you don't see is a lot of plastic. You don't see a lot of glass or metal. All of that has been screened out before we accept it.
Now, when you're saying screening out, we looked at those receptacles earlier. So it's really up to your clients then to be able to separate all this, or is this something that a service that you would actually provide through your organization?
The client is responsible for making sure that the only thing that goes into these bins is material that can be composted. And what we'll do is sometimes we'll open up the lid and look in and see that there's material that can't be composted, and we'll kindly let them know that they're going to need to throw that out.
Oh, okay. And also, too, you're trying to monitor this on a day-to-day basis, I would assume,
right.
So you're not messing up your system. And looking at this is something that you're taking out then into the area. I wanted to get to the last two slides here. Tell us about what we're looking at here. We have about a minute left, so what are we looking at here, Walker?
Great. This is a picture of a Ned Foley's composting facility in Rutherford, Pennsylvania called Two Particular Acres. And in the picture on the right, what you're looking at is some windrows where you have these long piles of food waste mixed with carbon, mixed with ground sticks, leaves, grass clippings, things like that. And they're literally just composting. They're put out in these rows, the bacteria are digesting them, and every so often he drives a tractor through to mix it up and make sure that it's getting aerated precisely.
How long would it take, looking at these rows here, how long would it take to get this from when it's actually ready to deliver out to, where the next step in this whole process?
Okay. There's a pretty big variance, but usually you're looking at 60 to 90 days for the primary composting stage, and then potentially another 30 for a curing process where it just has to sit and it has to just kind of finish.
And you're not the end of all this. There's actually another step in this to actually get this to the consumer, whether it's the farmer or the golf course or whatever. About 20 seconds?
Okay.
Who's in there?
That's right. We work with composting facilities who actually do the composting and then sell it to landscapers, developers, green roof applications and farms like that. So that's not really the piece that we do. What we're focused on is helping the restaurants save money by diverting their food waste and composting it.
Well, thank you for being with us. This is really a fascinating topic. And actually, we want to have you back.
Thank you for having me. I'd love to come back.
We need to talk about this in the future.
Great.
Thank you for being with us as we look around the globe at the techniques, the processes, as we work together to create the Emerald Planet.